Abigail was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, who make up the Radio Silence team, who have made some horror movies over the last few years. A lot of you may have seen, like Ready or Not, Scream 5, Scream 6, and now they're reuniting with one of the stars of those Scream movies, Melissa Barrera, to tell this particular story, in which a group of criminals have kidnapped a young ballerina and they have kept her in a house for about 24 hours. And the whole idea is to keep her there, and then eventually the ransom will come in and they'll be very rich. However, as the night progresses, weird stuff starts to happen, and it turns out that this girl, she's no ordinary little girl, and she's actually a vampire ballerina, and she is actually out to kill everybody, and then the bodies start piling up. And I really wish that detail was not in the trailer, because it's one of those things that is built up to. It's like a surprise in the movie. So I really wish that that wasn't given away, but then again, it is the entire marketing for this movie, so it's kind of hard not to mention it. When it comes to that particular track record that I mentioned earlier, I loved those three movies. I had a really good time with Ready or Not. I've seen that multiple times, in fact. I enjoyed Scream 5 as well. I enjoyed Scream 6, maybe a little bit more. And so going into this, there was obviously a lot of buzz and, some excitement. I also like the entire cast surrounding this. The actors are people who have proven their talents multiple times in previous projects. And while I didn't love Abigail as much as those other three movies, I still did enjoy myself with it because it, once again, does commit to exactly what it has to be. That's something I've really liked about all of these Radio Silence movies so far, the ones that they've made, is that there is no sense of trying to be more than it needs to be. They have a very simple premise, they build on that, and then they just let that do all of the talking. And it just explodes further and further from there. And so while watching this movie, once you're past the initial build up and you get a bunch of exposition about its characters and you get to learn a few things about them, once we're clear of all that, once the action really kicks in and the blood starts spilling, it's just a riotously good time. And I really liked everything that happened past a certain point. Getting there, there is just a lot of scenes where it's just character exposition, where you're just getting storylines explained through big chunks of dialogue, which is something that's par for the course at this point. But there is a definite telling and not showing aspect to it, but I guess that's also trying to, circumvent all of that. But at the same time, it does add a little bit of a pause to certain things. And in that sense, I wish it could have been a little tighter. I think that's the biggest issue for me compared to the other three movies. I think there was a better handling of the screenplay in those compared to this one. Here it seems like it's trying to do a lot at sometimes, and it kind of tries to, hold up a lot. But it almost buckles under that every so often. But like I said, once it commits to just being the very fun, gory, funny, dark humor film, then in that case, then you get exactly what you want. And the cast is up to that task very effectively. Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Catherine Newton, they're all really great in here. Alicia Weir, who plays the girl, I thought she was fantastic too. All of them absolutely understood the assignment. I mean, even all the supporting characters, the other actors, including Giancarlo Esposito, everybody over here is genuinely really, really having a very good time with it. Once the horror kicks in and once the violence really, really kicks it up a notch, it's extremely bloody and gory in every single respect. Extremely hyper-violent stuff. There's so much blood spilled and corn syrup across the set of this thing. I'm just, the cleanup process must have been a nightmare. I have to imagine that, especially one particular scene, which is just, yeah, you'll know what it is when you see that scene. There's a lot of emphasis on practical effects in production design, which is also really cool. Yeah, of course, there's special effects here and there as well, but there's so much that is done in camera. I was genuinely quite impressed with it. And once again, it has that humorous side to it, which they've brought to their previous movies, particularly Ready or Not. There's a lot of that in here as well. There are some things that are unexplained. There are some aspects of the history surrounding everything that do feel a little quickly handled, and I wish there was a little bit more time to go into that a bit. But then again, like I said, this is a movie that has a very simple premise, and it commits to that premise without taking a single break from that. By the end of the movie, I was having a riotously good time, and so was everybody else who was in my audience tonight, which is really something I do recommend. If you go check this movie out, I hope you guys get a crowd, because this is a very fun movie to watch with a group of friends. And while I said I did not love this quite as much as the other ones, I do want to see what else Radio Silence pulls off in the future. I'll be happily there for one of their other movies, and I mean, if nothing else, there is just this sense of fun and entertainment that they bring to it, to the horror proceedings, that you can't help but have a fun time with and really get yourself lost in those things. So yeah, some gripes aside, I did actually have some fun with Abigail, and I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I also just want to take a minute to say one of the supporting actors is Angus Cloud, and may you rest in peace, man. Gone way too soon, and he's a performer who most people know from Euphoria, I'm assuming, as did I. He really did a great job in that, and he will be missed. So just a quick shout out to him on that. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. I also watched Rebel Moon Part 2, which I'm going to talk about later tonight, which stay tuned for that. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.